Calling to order the January 21st, 2026 Planning and Zoning Board hearing for the City of Deltona. To start off, I'm going to ask staff to call the roll, please.
Member French?
Here.
Member Gonzalez?
Gonzalez, aye.
Vice Chair D'Erico?
Here.
Chair Cardo?
Here.
Alternate Warnicki?
Here.
And alternate O'Brien?
Here.
Thank you.
Sorry, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was on December 17th, 2025. I'll ask the board if anyone has any additions or changes.
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, it passes. Next item on the agenda, presentations of awards and reports. Not seeing anything, we'll move on to the next item. Is there anybody here from the public that wishes to speak on a matter outside of what's on the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much. No old business, so we'll move on to new business. And I'd like to ask council to read the matter into the record, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Before I read the resolution by title, I will make the announcement regarding quasi-judicial items, as the two items on tonight's agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. So please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have had their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the board, to ask questions on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for that organization. At this time, board members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning each agenda item.
We'll start with Member Gonzalez.
None.
Alternate O'Brien.
None.
Member Stewart.
I had conversations with several commissioners, as well as many residents, no names captured, but multiple residents at the community meetings, first and second community meetings for New Hope.
We're just talking about the first one, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair D'Erico.
No, ma'am.
Member French.
Yes, on January 13th, I received a voicemail message from a Pastor Bradley from New Hope asking if I could get together with their team to discuss or hear about their plans. We actually ended up playing phone tag because I did not get the direct message. I called back and left a message because I was going out of town, was probably not going to be able to meet with them, but the topic would be discussed at length at our meeting.
Is that relative to the first item on the agenda or the second item on the?
Excuse me.
That's the second item.
Right, I got nervous. I thought I
Yeah.
needed to come back up.
Second item.
Pardon me.
Alternate Warnicki.
None.
Thank you. Council, are we ready to read the matter into the record?
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is resolution number 2026-01, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, granting a conditional use to permit a house of worship within the R1 residential zoning district for the property located at 590 Fort Smith Boulevard within the City of Deltona, providing for conditions, recording, conflict severability, and an effective date. And at this time, I will swear in any person who wishes to testify on any quasi-judicial item. This time, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you hereby swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated.
And before I turn it over to staff to make their presentation, I realize I forgot to disclose that I have nothing to disclose. So, apologies. Staff?
Hi, yes. Good evening. I'm Matthew West, Planning Manager with the City of Deltona. I am presenting this item tonight, a major conditional use request, resolution number 2026.01. The site that we're discussing tonight is located at 590 Fort Smith Boulevard. It's approximately 3.3 acres in size. It is currently zoned R1 single-family residential and has a future land use of residential low density. It's currently undeveloped acreage. It has some trees on it, but it is not any urban development on it right now. A site plan is being reviewed concurrently with this conditional use application, so we're looking at the technical details of the drainage and the topography and all that under a separate application. The proposed church size is 10,568 square feet. A major conditional use is required for a house of worship in R1 zoning district, and this actually was approved. There was a conditional use approved on this property previously, and it expired in November of 2020. The layout that you have in your packet and that we're reviewing under the site plan regulations as well is substantially similar to the expired plan. The differences are a matter of they reverse the parking, parking circulation, and also the shape of the house of worship. The building itself is a little different from the previous approval. There are 11 matters of consideration for conditional uses. In your packet, you'll have our analysis of each of those 11 conditions for consideration. Here's a map showing the location of the property that's in red up here. I don't know if this is going to show up there, but this is the location map of the property. This is an aerial of the property. You can see it's wooded. I think you can see it's wooded there. It has zoning of R1, and all the property around it is zoned R1 as well. That's why it doesn't look like there's much on this map. And same thing with the future land use. Everything around this property is residential low density. Here's a concept plan, and as I noted, you have an entrance only on the west side of Fort Smith. Fort Smith's at the bottom of this picture, and then you have the exit only, the entrance only is on the east side or the right-hand side of the screen, and the exit only is on the left-hand side or western side of the property. And you have full circulation all the way around the church. Staff is recommending approval, or that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval of Resolution 26-01, granting a major conditional use for a house of worship to be located at 590 Fort Smith Boulevard with the following added conditions. This first one is going to change. We have a change in our code that actually allows a conditional use to be active and legal for 24 months with a potential one-year extension that may be granted by the planning director. So that first condition will change to 24 months and then possibly an additional 1 year. No principal or accessory building shall be located less than 50 feet from any property. You can see the building on the plan that I showed you. It was in the center of the property. Basically, there are no buildings near the edges of the property. There's also a condition that allows the off-street parking area, rather than just be asphalt or concrete, it allows some alternative forms of stabilized surface for the parking. And that the final condition is that the site will be developed in conformance with that attached plan that I showed you. Final change of the presentation, we have moved this hearing up to February 2nd before the City Commission instead of February 17th. It's been properly advertised and noticed that way. And I'll go back to the concept plan, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. So we'll start with board questions. Alternate Warganaki, do you have any questions for staff?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Steve, staff, you have some cards, so I'll turn it over to you.
Pastor Henry.
this green light turns off, just hit this button down here and it'll turn the light back on.
Pastor Henry, if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record, please?
Yes. Hello to everyone. My name is Pastor Zechariah Henry. My address is 1918 Newmark Drive, Deltona, Florida. I'm the pastor of the Lighthouse Pentecostal Church of Jesus, and our vision is very simple. We're here to serve the community wholeheartedly. Our desire is to continue the feeding ministry. We are connected with Second Harvest Food Bank, and we also, from time to time, has a closing ministry as well. My heart desire is to build a sanctuary. We've been renting for 15 years here in the city of Deltona, 1785 Elkham Boulevard. Was known as the Temple Shalom. And we've been very good there. We have had no problems. We have served the community for many years. And basically all I'm saying tonight, that we need your help tonight. If we had to shake hands, it should be that we have the same idea, and that is one team, one dream, having a heart for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor Henry. Next person, staff?
Miss Rhodes.
And Ms. Rhodes, if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record, please?
Yes. Please excuse me, I have a cold. My name is Eloris Rhodes. My address is 2050 Dixie Bell Avenue here in Deltona, Florida. And I'm here to speak, as my pastor has said, I am the bookkeeper for the food ministry, and I have been doing so for almost 15 years also. I see the patrons, I see the people that come and go, and how appreciative they are for the little that we're able to do at the location that we were at, knowing that we wish we could do more, but we need our own place to do that. And we're not here to overstep anybody. We're just trying to add to the community, the help. My pastor has been one of exemplary person in this city. You can ask anybody that know him. He has a very good record. I also want to speak as far as the patrons that come. Again, like I said, they come with all kind of issues, and we can only do so much. And we try to do that as best we can. And we really will appreciate the opportunity to have our own space so we can do more. And we're here, again, not to be a hindrance to Deltona, but to be a help. We want to be there for the storms and the cold and have places for people to come and shelter out of the cold. And this facility that you see will help us do that. It will help us feed more people. It will help us clothe more people. And that's our heart desire. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rhodes. Staff, do we have anyone else that would like to speak on this matter?
No, Madam Chair.
Very good. With that, I'm going to close the public forum and open it up for board members to ask any additional questions.
No question, ma'am. I was just going to make a motion.
Please do.
I make a motion to approve, I make a motion that the City Commission approve ordinance C025-0005 based on alignment with the decision-making criteria.
I'll second.
Can you turn on your microphone?
I'll second.
I believe you misstated the title of the item. This is resolution number 2026-01.
Let's do a do-over.
All right.
Do-over.
We'll redo. That was so much fun the first time. Let's redo. So I make a motion that the City Commission approve resolution number 2601 based on alignment with decision-making criteria and staff recommendation. Thank you for putting that up there.
I second.
Great.
Staff, can you call the roll?
Member French.
Yes.
Member Gonzalez.
Yes.
Member Stewart.
Yes.
Alternate Warnicki,
Yes.
Alternate O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair DeErico,
Yes.
and Chair Cardo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. I believe we have Mr. Smith before us to make a presentation.
Yes, and I'll read
And
the...
if council could please read the matter
Title
into the record for us
the
first, please,
resolution?
that'd be great.
Yes, ma'am. This is ordinance number 01-2026, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, amending the official zoning map to rezone approximately 14.43 acres of land located at 2830, 2846, and 2855 Lake Helen Osteen Road from Residential Estate 1, RE1, to Mixed-Use Planned Unit Development, MPUD, providing for recording, conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you so much, council. Mr. Smith, when you're ready.
Good evening, Madam Chair, fellow P&Z members. Good evening. This item is a discussion regarding the proposed rezoning of approximately 4.43 acres at 2830, 2846, and 2855 Lake Helen Osteen Road. The applicant is requesting to amend the official zoning map from Residential Estate 1, or RE1, to Mixed-Use Planned Unit Development, or MPUD. The proposed development includes up to 96 affordable housing units and a church expansion consisting of a chapel, school, and community center. And there's the concept plan, which is also in your packet. The property is located southeast of Lake Helen Osteen Road and Catalina Boulevard, directly adjacent to New Hope Baptist Church. It is surrounded by low-density single-family residential neighborhoods, which are consistent with the current low-density residential designation. Lake Helen Osteen Road is a two-lane county road corridor that is not designated as an activity center or mixed-use corridor. It is important to note that this site lacks proximity to commercial nodes or employment centers, which is relevant when evaluating the appropriateness of MPUD zoning here. There's a location map. The site's current future land use designation is low-density residential, or LDR. LDR is intended to preserve neighborhood character and limit both residential density and non-residential intensity. The current zoning of the property is RE1, which is consistent with the LDR designation. The proposed MPUD would exceed the expected density and introduce uses that are incompatible with the surrounding development. And there's a zoning, existing zoning, which is RE1, and the future land use is LDR, low-density residential. Looking at the comparison, the proposed MPUD would have up to 96 units, whereas LDR anticipates low-density single-family homes. The site is surrounded by low-density homes, while LDR policy directs higher-intensity development only to designated activity centers or near commercial nodes. And finally, the traffic generated by the proposed exceeds the capacity of a two-lane road, which is inconsistent with LDR expectations for roadway function. Several key policies that guided this analysis. The first one, FLU 1-2.4 and Housing 1-3.5, direct higher density housing to appropriate locations such as commercial or employment centers. This site does not qualify. Policy 1-8.3 supports affordable housing, but it also requires that it be consistent with the future land use designation. Policy 1-7.24 directs mixed-use development to designated corridors or activity centers, and this property is outside of those areas. And finally, Transportation Policy 1-4.8 requires roadway capacity to support proposed development. Lake Helen Osteen Road cannot safely accommodate the traffic projected for this MPUD. Based on these policies, the proposed MPUD is inconsistent with the future land use map and comprehensive plan intent. Wetlands are located on the western portion of the property and would be preserved with a 25-foot upland buffer. An environmental assessment identified 5 potential occupied gopher tortoise burrows, which would require relocation in accordance with state regulations. And while environmental mitigation addresses impacts, it does not resolve the fundamental land use or density incompatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. Trip generations from the proposed development is substantial. For example, multifamily units alone would generate 845 daily trips. the church 238, daycare 457, and community center 223. Lake Helen Osteen Road is a 2-lane county road, which cannot safely handle this level of traffic. In terms of other infrastructure, water and sewer are available, and schools have raised no objections, and on-site drainage will be reviewed during final site plan approval. However, the traffic impacts remain a key consideration in evaluating the appropriateness of MPUD zoning here. The applicant conducted 2 neighborhood meetings, one on November 14, 2024, and one on June 23, 2025. Concerns expressed included flooding, wetland buffers, traffic, and overall project density. The applicant did revise the plans by increasing the wetland buffers, relocating the stormwater facilities, and reducing the residential units by 26. However, despite these revisions, the development intensity still does not align with the LDR designation or surrounding land use. Based on staff analysis, the proposed MPUD is inconsistent with the future land use map and LDR designation. It introduces mixed use and density incompatible with surrounding low-density neighborhoods. The property is outside designated activity centers or corridors suitable for high-intensity or mixed-use development. And finally, it does not protect neighborhood character, which is a primary goal of the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends denial of Ordinance 01-2026. The rationale is nonconformance with FLU and comprehensive plan policies, incompatibility with surrounding residential development, and a lack of infrastructure and location suitability for MPUD. It's important to note that this recommendation is based on planning consistency and long-term community impact, not the merits of any individual use. The Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation will be forwarded to the City Commission, and the first reading is scheduled for February 2nd.
Thank you so much. We'll start with board questions. Member Gonzalez, do you have any questions for Mr. Smith?
Not at the moment.
Alternate O'Brien?
None at this time, thank you.
Member Stewart? Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, I'm Mark Watts. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Cobb Cole. My address is 231 North Woodland Boulevard, DeLand. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this evening. I've got a couple of folks that I'm going to give you a presentation. I've got 2 evidence presenters that will follow after me. We've coordinated with staff with regard to making sure we stay within the allotted time. So just before I get into the details of the presentation, I want to give you a little bit of a history on this overall project. This is something that we have been working with the city on, and I want to thank staff for all the work that they've put in on this since 2022. We've had multiple meetings with staff during that time. I think the initial applications were submitted to the city in 2023. We were originally scheduled to come to planning board with the higher density 120 unit proposal in October of 2024. At that point in time, we were asked to pause, do some additional work with the neighborhood, listen to the concerns. That resulted in some changes that I'll go through in the presentation, and then ultimately led to a revised plan that has made its way back to you this evening. But this has been something that's been, kind of in the works and through the process for quite some time. So you've seen it in the staff report, but let me just, kind of reiterate where the location is. You see on the map in front of you the context of the property with the existing neighborhoods to the, around it. The starred locations are the portion of the property where both the existing church is today, and the proposed expansion of that church complex is part of the MPUD. And then across Lake Helen Osteen Road, the 2 stars are where the proposed affordable housing complex is also located. Now, one of the things that I want to point out in regard to the staff report, one of the inconsistencies they point out is that churches are not allowed within LDR, but institutional uses are specifically allowed within LDR, and the existing church was approved by the city and constructed through that approval by the city. So I think there is a consistency there that is important to keep in mind. This is the updated layout. You saw this in the staff report. Previously, we had larger buildings. I'll give you a little bit of detail on those. A couple of the things that I'll point out here, we'll talk about in a little bit in a few minutes. We heard substantial discussion in our neighborhood meetings with regard to flooding concerns, preservation of wetlands. We redesigned the site to make sure there were no impacts to floodplain areas, no impacts to wetlands or wetland upland buffers. and increased the amount of stormwater. One of the things that's important to keep in mind is there's nothing in the PUD that asks for a waiver or any kind of variance to what your most stringent stormwater requirements are. And so those all have to be adhered to as the project continues to move through the process. The other changes, as the staff report indicated, we reduced about 24 units from the prior proposal on this to the 96 units, increased the open space to 40% of the site, decreased the total amount of surface coverage, increased the size of the stormwater facilities and relocated them away from Three Island Lake. Made sure, we went and actually looked at the soil maps here to make sure that the area we're proposing for development is well-drained sandy soils, and they are, and increase the stormwater facilities to meet all updated city standards. This is just kind of a breakdown of some of those different areas I talked about. I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail on this because I see my time is getting sparse here. Larger buildings, these were originally part of the proposal. These were removed, and in place we went with a smaller building that each has 24 units in it. I didn't know it was going to do that. So this is our finding of fact and recommendation from our staff report when we were scheduled to come before you in October of 2024. Approval. And it was, that recommendation was based on the interpretation of the prior planning director that basically the comprehensive plan allowed affordable housing to be located in any residential zone, land use classification within the city, at whatever the maximum permissible density was. So here, the interpretation and the application of that interpretation in the prior staff analysis was 120 units was permissible. Under the current interpretation, that reduces down to about 70 to 75, somewhere in that range, depending on how you do the math, to stay within the LDR density. But that was a change that, over the past 3 years, it's been consistently interpreted this way. And then that change in interpretation came last week when we received the staff report. That's the findings of fact from the staff report. So I want to point out a couple other things with regard to the consistency. One of the things with regard to traffic concurrency. The characterization of Lake Helen Osteen Road as a 2-lane rural road, I think in your staff report it also talks about the fact that it's a 2-lane residential road, essentially that it characterizes that way. This is the actual county's thoroughfare map. Lake Helen Osteen Road is classified as a county thoroughfare collector road, which means it is a road designed to handle additional traffic and to pick that traffic up and take it to the arterial road system, which is what you see in, I think, blue is collectors, the orange-red color is the arterial road system. So this is on one of the principal roads that's owned and maintained by the county. We went through an extensive traffic analysis with the county. It's in your materials as Exhibit E. The conclusion in that report is that the project trips do not cause any deficiency in the traffic network that doesn't exist with the existing background traffic growth. So in other words, we're not triggering an additional failure. So I disagree with the conclusion in the staff report that the traffic capacity is not there. Like anybody else, like any other landowner, when you're proposing to build and you have those conditions, you have to go through that analysis, not just with the city staff, but with the county staff. And if there is an impact that is caused by the project, then you're required to go through the proportionate fair share process. You make a contribution to correct the issues that are with the road segment. It's important to note here, if you look at the TIA that's in your materials, it doesn't conclude that there's insufficient traffic capacity. It notes that there are 2 segments that fail with the existing background growth, and that we're not triggering any additional failures with the proposed traffic from the development. Either way, those also would be mitigated through that process. There's one additional intersection failure at Catalina and Howland. Also, that's a signal timing adjustment that will cure that, and that was part of the analysis that's in your staff materials. I want to talk very briefly, because I've got about a minute left, about the mixed-use analysis and the location. One of the interesting things when you look at what you've been doing as a city over the past year is looking at your 2050 vision plan. And one of the things that you've said is we have 73% of the city that is uniform single-family development. And we have 5.5% of the city that is available for mixed use or for multifamily development in that context. And that needs to change. Interestingly, in the growth management report that was presented to, I think, you and the commission and the public in April of 2024, one of the key features that was suggested to create walkable, mixed-use areas throughout the city was to focus that growth and that development on existing community assets. He's the principal pastor of New Hope Church and is going to talk about the community aspects of what he and his operation do.
Pastor Bradley, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Pastor William Bradley. I live at 1055 West Seagate Drive in Deltona. Thank you for this opportunity to stand before you. 33 years ago, on January the 10th, 1993, New Hope Church held its first service at Deltona Lakes Elementary School. The News Journal paper was there, and they wrote an article. They said, New Hope springs life into Deltona. New Hope springs life into Deltona. Well, in 1997, I stood before the zoning board and the city commission to get their support for New Hope building a multi-purpose building here in the city of Deltona on Lake Helen Osteen Road, the building that we're in right now. Yes, there was some opposition at time, but because of the faith of the commission and the zoning board, their fortitude and their foresight, they approved our project just on the story that we had, because they believe in the story of hope, and our hope, the acronym for hope, is helping other people excel. And so tonight, we just don't have a story of what we mean to this community. We have evidence of years of service and support to this community, that people in our community who know about the things we have done, and people in our community who have received assistance from our programs for all these years can tell you that New Hope does a lot for this community. Well, we're standing before you tonight to let you know there's more to do. And that's why we want to do more. We want to do more. And so because we want to do more, we're just asking this board and also to the city commissioner to have faith in what we have already done, fortitude and the foresight to look at what we're looking to bring to this community. I was a part of the Martin Luther King celebration, and one of the quotes I read in one of the programs is, he said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And that's why we're here. We exist to assist. We're here to partner with you for the progress of our city. So this is why we're looking for you to recommend that we continue to go further with this right here. By yourself, you can go faster, but together, we can go further. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Carol Gardner, who's the CEO with Tecumseh Economic Development Corporation. They're here to speak to the affordable housing needs.
Thank you so much. If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Carol Gardner, and address is 7005 North Augusta Drive, Miami, Florida. So happy to be here to speak with you today. I know I have 3 minutes, so I'll make that pretty quick. I want to talk a little bit about our organization, TEDC. We build strong communities in places where people can progress. And I think the center P means people. And one of your members emphasized that to me the other night. People in the city of Deltona are cost burdened. And the reason why we've joined forces with New Hope is because we come to solve problems, not to create them. And I want to bring emphasis to the fact that we come to solve problems and not to create them. We know that there's several problems in cities, and one of them is affordability. And that's what we come to assist with, affordable housing. For who? Who uses affordable housing? Firefighters, teachers, police officers, most of the people that you meet in the grocery store who's our cashiers, they have affordability problems, and I'm sure there's far more. And so I just wanted to give you a couple of statistics about Volusia County and then dig a little deeper into the city of Deltona. But right now, the median income in Volusia County, according to Florida Housing, is $84,100. In the city of Deltona, that median income is about $30,000. Let's talk about the rents that are here currently in the city of Deltona. The rents run approximately $1,600 to $1,900 a month for rent in the city of Deltona. Not to mention, and that's for not just your rental units, but also those who are renting their houses. And that means that most of the people that live at that income range that I just mentioned cannot afford to rent inside the city of Deltona. And so therefore, and the city of Deltona is not only is not the only city in the state of Florida that has an affordability problem. It goes throughout the whole state. But just to bring emphasis, the city of Deltona also is a part of the serious problem of affordability throughout the state of Florida. And so if we were to build affordable housing here for families, the rent for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath would be $1,100. That means that that family would be able to save at least anywhere between $500 and $800 a month going towards other activities. So as I mentioned earlier, we solve problems, we don't bring them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and we'll remain here if you have any questions for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I believe that concludes the applicant's presentation. So I'm going to open up the public forum portion and ask staff to please call to the podium anyone who would like to speak on this matter.
Dr. Durham?
Good evening. My name is Dr. L. Ronald Durham. I live at 1036 Shepherd Avenue here in Deltona. I'm here to speak in strong support of the affordable housing project proposed by the New Hope Church. Deltona is the largest city in Volusia County, yet our workforce is being priced out because we continue to reject or delay the very projects that would keep them here. And we cannot keep repeating that pattern. I want to address the 3 objections that came from staff, because you're going to hear about traffic. Traffic concerns are understandable, but they're often overstated. Workforce housing generates less traffic than traditional market rate developments because residents typically work locally, not 30 miles away. These are teachers, healthcare workers, service employees, first responders, people who already commute into Deltona because they can't afford to live here. Housing them closer to their jobs reduces regional traffic, not increases it. Denying this project won't eliminate traffic. It will just push it into the highways and surrounding roadways. You heard about density. Density is not a threat. Unmanaged sprawl is. Deltona has long struggled with a lack of diverse housing types, and this project introduces exactly the kind of balanced, moderate density that planners across the country recommend. It uses land efficiency and supports local businesses and provides attainable homes without overwhelming the infrastructure surrounding it. Density done right is a strength, not a problem. And this proposal is a textbook example of responsible planning. You heard about neighborhood impact. The idea that affordable housing harms neighborhoods is outdated and overstated and disproven. Modern workforce housing is well-designed, well-managed, and built to blend into the community that it surrounds. These are not transient residents that we're talking about. These are people who staff our hospitals, teach our children in schools, work in our businesses, and support our local economy. Stable housing for stable workers strengthens neighborhoods, It does not weaken them. Deltona cannot continue to say we support workforce while blocking the projects that would actually house them. This board has the opportunity and the responsibility to approve this project. I strongly urge you to approve it today.
Thank you. Staff?
Michael Williams.
Mr. Williams, if you could please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mike Williams. I'm a resident of Deltona since 1985. Been a very successful realtor in this town for almost 40 years. And to listen to the presentations made tonight and the concerns that the people have, I know water was one of the main issues. And then when I heard them talk about how they're going to handle the water situation, because I know there was some flooding along there, and there were some folks that had some concerns about that. But I've heard in the presentation from the attorney working with them, and I saw the presentation up there on the wall, that that's an area that's going to be taken care of through some type of water system, drainage system, whatever they need to do to take care of the water problem, which has been a problem for some people that lived in the area. I also know that being a realtor in this town for almost 40 years, and a very successful realtor, I might add, you heard from the gentleman that just made the presentation that affordability is definitely a problem. You know, this housing market is just priced out of the market for most folk. They just can't afford it. The average house price here in Deltona now is about $350,000. Most people cannot afford that, but what they're planning to do with the workforce housing project to help sustain people that need that sort of help is something that's really, really needed. And as we talk about the road situation that I heard them talk about and some other things, I saw in the presentation and heard in the presentation that those things are being addressed to take care of the needs of the people. You would not believe some of the living conditions that people are under in Deltona at this moment. You got 3 and 4 families living in one house just trying to make a living and trying to get by. So if we can open up that window and make it more affordable for people to live here who really want to live in Deltona. That's the reason why I moved to Deltona many years ago from Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in New Smyrna Beach, but I moved here from Houston, Texas when it was just 33,000 people. Now we're over 100,000 people and growing. So we got to make accommodations and preparation for those types of the growth that we're experiencing and the expansion that we're experiencing here in Deltona. So I, for one, would say, along with the other folk here tonight, let's approve that and let's step out and show people who we are with Deltona. I remember the opposition we had when we were getting the center built here in Deltona. My God, people just was fighting us tooth and nail. Now the center of Deltona is a showplace for all of West Volusia, not just West Volusia, but we have the capability to do what we know we have the ability to do. So let's do that. Let's open this up, make it possible for people to work who want to work for a living, hard for a living, support their families, raise their families, have their children grow up here, do the work that needs to be done, and support this development that's going to be a tremendous asset to the city of Deltona. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Staff, do we have anyone else from the public who'd like to speak?
Marion Diggs.
If you could please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Marion Diggs, and I live at 1701 Sterling Silver Boulevard, Deltona, Florida. And I would like to basically go along with what some of the other ones have said. I first would like to say I totally 100% agree with the affordable project. Housing project. Deltona, like many other communities here in Volusia County, continues to experience a growing need of affordable housing for working families, seniors, and individuals who contribute to the local economy, yet face limited housing options. In addition to addressing a critical housing need, approval of this project will provide tangible benefits to the city of Deltona, including jobs creation during the construction, long-term economic activity, and increasing housing stability for residents. Affordable housing developments such as this, which strengthen neighborhoods, reduce housing insecurity, and support suitable community growth. I would just like to ask that the board approve this project for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diggs.
Virgil Ford.
Mr. Board, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Virgil Ford. I live at 2470 Pine Tree Acres Lane. I bought my house back in 1995. Back then, it was zoned RE1 as it is now. I just want to point out that all the houses that are in question here, that those of us that may be opposing this, and it's a great idea to have this type of a project, but not where it is now. Most everybody on that road has acreage. And I think this gentleman over here put it lightly that it doesn't come up to, it doesn't fit for that area. And then on the other hand, these folks, they have a valuable point too. But my question is, maybe I guess it's Mr. To you or Pastor Bradley, is you bought this property knowing it was zoned for RE1. So now you want to change it because you want to put in this housing. But my question to you is, why don't you just build as it was intended to be used for? Okay. Also, the flooding problem, I believe is going to get worse. There's a development right up the road, and I'm sorry that it escapes me the name of it, but the attorney over here, he was the attorney of record on that particular development, and since that development was put in, it has flooded our area. I think you can ask a lot of the folks that live out here, it's causing water over the roadway on Lake Helen Osteen Road, and even down onto Catalina and to Parma. And there's still.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ford. I apologize for interrupting you, but we have some folks in the back of the room that continually interrupt and are causing a distraction. So I would respectfully ask that those of you who would like to have a sidebar conversation, take it out into the hallway, and please keep your comments while others are speaking so that everyone can hear and be respectful of those at the podium. Thank you so much, Mr. Ford. You may continue.
Furthermore, in reference to the flooding, now I've walked a little bit of the area, we'll call it on the west side of Lake Helen Road, because the development is going west side of the road and on the east side road next to church for reference points. But down the west side road looks pretty low. I mean, not low, but when you start developing it, you're going to have to build that up before you build. I mean, I've been looking at the area, I've been walking it, and it kind of looks like you're going to have to put some fill up there. I believe that's also going to complicate the flooding issues we have in the area. I'd heard this gentleman talk about, well, they can cycle the light at Lake Helen Osteen Road and Catalina. Well, that's true, but what about Hallover? You have that intersection of Hallover and Lake Helen Osteen Road is going to be a real problem, because as it is now, we have no traffic device other than a stop sign. That's going to be a further issue, is going to be the traffic. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Staff, do we have anyone else that would like to speak?
Lauren King.
Mr. King, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Former Commissioner Lauren King, 2770 Sadler Lane. I am totally opposed to this project. I think it's a great project, but it does not belong in RE1 areas. We have built out there homes that have acreage, and quite frankly, the flooding is still an issue out there. The new development that went in on Lake Helen Osteen Road, the water at Lake Tiny is up to the shoulder of the road now. You're going to put another development on the west side, same as that development, and they're going to have to build it up And the same thing is going to happen there. See, you're not allowing water to go where it's supposed to go. So that is a huge issue. Another issue is the fact that traffic is already awful on Lake Helen Osteen Road, especially from El Cam down to Catalina. People sit there for long minutes and minutes and minutes waiting just to get out onto Lake Helen Osteen Road, whether it's Parma, whether it's some of those other streets right there, Hallover. The traffic's terrible already. And now you're going to add all this more traffic. It is not compatible with your own rules and regulations to allow this to happen. I got a great suggestion. Sell off that property and purchase the buildings that are behind Publix and use those for your workforce housing. It's a great place. People will be able to walk to the labs, to the doctors, to the grocery store, anywhere they want to go. It'll be right there. It's in walking distance. I certainly don't know that we're even talking about any kind of long-term plan to put a community inside the community that we already have. That just seems kind of silly to me. I thought we were all in this community together, but it seems like we have to separate some folks from others. I don't understand. So I'm against this. I think that the city has stated it correctly, and I urge you to listen to your staff and vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Tim Blodgett.
If you could please state your name and address for the record, Mr. Blodgett.
Sure. Tim Blodgett, 2707 Timberlake Avenue. Build it on the Santiago eyesore. What a concept. Okay. I don't disagree with anything these folks have said other than to try and shame you all into going along with what they're saying. The biggest problem is going to be flooding, regardless of the way that the lawyer poo-pooed it away like it was nothing. The only thing that they have on the board right now for fixing the flooding problem is water injection, which is building a huge dislike by the entire county, because we're one of the few clean water sources in Florida, much less the county. Okay, nobody mentioned anything about the Teresa Basin study. The area that they are building on backs up to a huge floodplain. And anyone who's ever heard me talk before knows that I do not call it Deltona lakes. All of these lakes are floodplains. And they're building it right behind a floodplain. And that floodplain went underwater. They're not building townhomes or low-cost housing. They're building swamp houses. That's what's going to happen. Last couple of hurricanes that we had, the St. Johns River overfilled. It backfilled through all of the drainage routes that we had out of Deltona. So they talk about pumping here and piping there. It ain't going to happen. The water is going to be inside of I-4 Lake Monroe, backing up over Howland Boulevard, straight into where they plan on building. And that's the fact. And we're going to find that out real soon. Keep your eyes and ears open for the Teresa Basin study. Should have been done last year. I don't know why it hasn't. Well, what's going to end up happening is all of those 100-year flood zones, all of those 500-year flood zones are going to change. Every last one of them. The last two hurricanes that we had changed everything. And these folks are trying to get stuff built faster than lickety-split so that they don't have to deal with it when all of the boundaries change. And for that reason alone, I agree with the staff. kill this thing. You want to build something like this? I understand the importance. I was schooled about it by one of the foremost experts in the United States on it. But it doesn't belong on a back road in Deltona. It belongs on a main road somewhere. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Blodgett. Staff, anyone else to speak?
No, ma'am.
Having no one else from the public who would like to speak, I'm going to close the public forum. I'm sorry. Do you have I'm sorry, sir, did you place a card to speak? Did you provide a card to staff to speak? No? I think we can make an exception, and you're welcome to come on up to the podium. And if you wouldn't mind, please stating your name and address for the record.
Harry Rudolph, 2900 Regent Drive, Deltona, Florida. I am totally against this program. Like I said, the concept is good, the placement is bad. Nobody's ever said anything about Lake Helen Osteen being closed due to flooding for 2 weeks. Where's the traffic going to go then? We have flooding problem now. How much fill are they going to have to build up so this place doesn't go underwater? We have pictures, and you saw them the last time at the last meeting at the church, of 2 foot of water where they want to build now. It's going to get worse. My mother's house was 2 inches away from being flooded out. I had flood damage in my house. It's, you know, I totally agree with what the traffic is just a disaster. It takes me 5 minutes sometimes to get out of Regent Drive. And that's not even with the building that's there now. It's just a disaster. It's going to be an eyesore for that part of our town. I moved here in '85. It was all dirt roads from Hallover up to the new development that's up there that's flooding, going to flood Lake Helen Osteen Road again. But I would urge very seriously to turn this down. You were all at the meeting at the church, I believe. I don't know if any of you were at the church last year when there was a lot more people here against this program. Like I said, the program, it's needed in Deltona. I can agree with that, but not in this area. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rudolph. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to speak? Please come to the podium. And if you wouldn't mind, please stating your name and address for the record.
My name is Patricia Harkness. I live at 1340.
If you could move the microphone towards you and speak into the microphone.
My name is Patricia Harkness. I live at 1349 Freeport Drive. I attend church 2 to 3 times a week at New Hope, and I pull out of that driveway every time I go there, and I go in, and I never find more traffic than 2 or 3 cars coming by. I don't know what kind of traffic they're talked about. I haven't seen it in the 16 years that I attended there. On my block, there is a family, and I'm just speaking about one. They have 4 children who have moved back home for various reasons. One had a brain injury. One is a nurse saving money to build her own home or move in a new home. Each of them have good reasons why they have moved in. They're in Deltona. They need a place to stay. They need a hands up. And without the help of us here in this neighborhood, We love it here, and we're selfish. We don't want to share it with anyone else. Well, I think that's kind of sad because you wouldn't be here either if they felt that way about you. So who's going to help them if we don't? They still live here, and look at the traffic in that one house. All of them have cars. The parents have their cars. So there's some 6 cars all over the yard and everything. They need their own place. Why are we saying, don't let them move here? What's wrong with us? We can't help somebody? We need this project. And yeah, there's going to be problems, but we'll solve them just like they're being solved. The people who were flooded, that's their problem? Oh, no, it's not their problem. I'm not saying it's their problem. I'm just saying that those problems have to be worked out so that they can live and not have flooding. The same with us. We want to move in, and we'll work out our problems with your help. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I close the public forum, I just want to make sure there's not anybody else in the audience who would like to speak. Yes, ma'am. Come to the podium, please.
Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record.
I don't know if I want to give my address, but I live on Howland, and I'm a really quiet, shy person, but this is important to me. My house got flooded since they built those other houses on the Tree Island on the other side. And I think they should build this, but not on the lake. Build it somewhere else. I'm by myself in the house, and I can't have the water coming into my house like it did 2 years ago. And the birds, the wildlife, they're going to destroy all that. And God knows what else in the future what's going to happen when they do build that, if they do. That's it. I can't take the flooding. I mean, it was coming into my house, and it stopped, and it was going out towards Howland. So it's not good. I mean, it's good, but not for the lake. That's it. It took a lot for me to get up here because I'm a quiet person.
Thank you. Last call. Anyone? Yeah, okay. Okay, the last 2 people who just raised their hand are the last 2 people who are going to speak. I don't believe that either one did have turned in a card to speak prior to the meeting. Correct. So we're making a exception to our rule. So, sir, if you wouldn't mind, please stating your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Washington. My address is 1440 Daystar Lane, Deltona, Florida, 32725. Good evening, everyone. I would just like to share that I serve as the pastor of operations at New Hope. My family moved to Deltona in 1996 from Sanford, Florida. And when we moved here, we were able to find a home for $500 a month, a 5-bedroom home, and we could not afford where we were living in Sanford. And it was because of that affordable housing that I have been able to be a my class for the first class to go to Pine Ridge all 4 years. And with that, I went to college and I got a degree, and I am now working in education as an assistant principal at Campbell Middle School in Daytona Beach. I am a son of Deltona. I am a son who has seen Deltona from their beginnings when they did not want to incorporate Deltona, and now I see where Deltona has gone. I'm saying all this to say that there are people who need a hand up. There are people who need help. I was one of those people, and I would not be standing here today before you as a father, as a pastor, and as an assistant principal in Volusia County. So thank you all for hearing us. So please approve this so that we can do our best to help those in our community who need our support.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to come to the podium, please. And if you'd be so kind to state your name and address for the record.
Yes.
I'm Elizabeth Jennington. I live on Jennington Lane in Deltona. I've been here for over 40 years. I own a lot of acreage on Lake Helen Osteen. And when all these hurricanes we've had, I have a 1-year flood area. It's supposed to have been for 1 year. I had had it surveyed for that. It went past that into my garage. I used a kayak to get to my house. Everybody here, I agree, we need low-income housing. But what are we going to do about the flooding? You ask, what are we doing in Deltona? There's so many houses right now that are vacant. There's apartments behind Publix that are being condemned, and they're probably going to tear them down. Why can't we build something there? And they talk about traffic. There is a bus line in front of Publix. If people had apartments behind Publix, they could walk over there, get on the bus, and take it to wherever they're going to. All of you that live in Deltona understand, Catalina was flooded for how long? Lake Helen Osteen was flooded for how long? Nobody's considering the fact that people that live there that lost their homes had to rebuild. My neighbor couldn't even live in their house. They had water 2 foot high in their house. I feel sorry for a lot of people, but what are we going to do about it? We're going to turn around and build places that shouldn't be built on a 2-lane road that sometimes you can't even get out on. Yes, the lady's talking about, she got out in what, less than a few minutes? At what time of the day was that? People go to work, they have jobs. There's certain times you can't even get on Lake Helen Osteen and go down Catalina. If Catalina's flooded, how do you get out? Go on Howland Boulevard. How do you get to Howland Boulevard when the road floods over there too? I have a 4-wheel drive truck. I can get in and out. But how about other people who have little cars that can't get in there? How many people have been reported that they flooded and couldn't even go down Catalina? Had no way of getting out. So please do not pass this. There's other methods that you could use, other places they could build for low-income housing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now going to close the public forum and allow the applicant 3 minutes for his rebuttal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I will wrap this up in 3 minutes. Real quick, I just want to touch on a couple of key points. Let me talk about traffic first. I get, and we often hear the concerns about traffic. What I can tell you is, as a result of the traffic in and around the community, there is a standard by which every property owner or developer that is looking to develop their property has to analyze the impacts of their project. It's not just the city's standard, it's the Transportation Planning Organization standard. If you look in your staff materials, the traffic analysis that was provided in connection with this proposal is this section of your staff report. It's several hundred pages of analysis that look at the actual conditions of the roadway, the adopted levels of service, and reaches the conclusions that I spoke about in my initial presentation. We all experience traffic. We are all the traffic because we're going from place to place within our community. But the analysis and the rules and the regulations that we're required to follow, we are. We're not asking for any exception to that, and we're asking to be treated just like anybody else would with regard to that traffic. Flooding has been a massive concern, not just in Deltona, but in every other jurisdiction that we work in around the community. I'm a lifelong resident of DeLand. I live in in the historic downtown part of DeLand. I had flooding in my backyard that I don't think has ever flooded during the storm events that we've experienced over the past several years. One of the biggest benefits that we have with regard to this particular location at this particular time. Number one, the location is high and dry. If you drive by and look at that property, it rises from the roadway. It is up on a sandy high mound. It's also coming at a time where we do have the Teresa Basin study that's being done at this point in time, and I think that's very important because I mentioned we are going to be required to meet the most stringent requirements for stormwater management that the city has, and it's going to be with the benefit of the input and the information we receive from that Teresa Basin study. So that's all part of the regulations that we have to follow moving forward. The last thing I want to mention is density. We talked a lot about consistency and inconsistency. This location is less than 2 miles to commercial nodes on either end from where the Publix is, which ironically was originally proposed to be an affordable housing complex that the city denied about 20 years ago. And you know, the Aldi at Catalina and Howland on the other in the other direction, passing the Dollar General as well. If you look at the aerial that's in front of you, we've talked a lot about acreage and everything else here. There are some acreage lots in this area. But if you look at the general lot pattern, it's the Deltona Lakes platted subdivision. Now, if you look at that pattern throughout the city, the average density of Deltona Lakes platted subdivision sections of the city is 3.5 units per acre. Maximum density under the LDR is 6 units an acre. That generates about 75 units of development on the property that we're talking about today. This is affordable housing. Your comp plan policies encourage and support the location of affordable housing within any residential classification. We think it's supported here. Thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate all of your consideration in your deliberations.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah. Yes, Council, you may, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because there was a little bit of mention of the previous staff analysis done back in 2024, I did want to remind the board that you are not bound by any previous analysis of staff. And in fact, you are not bound by staff's recommendation tonight. You do need to give the professional staff and their analysis its due weight, but it is your task tonight to weigh the evidence presented and to make a decision based on competent substantial evidence, which just for review means that the evidence presented is such that a reasonable mind would accept as adequate the support to support the conclusion that you make tonight. I just wanted to make that clarification before deliberations begin.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the support. So we're going to start with board members and questions that they may have.
If I may, Madam Chair, before we start.
You may, please.
At what point do we need to do ex parte for this agenda item before we start deliberating?
Yes, and I believe most members disclosed prior, but you may disclose.
Okay.
If you
would you like me to do that now?
Yes, if you missed any disclosures, please do so.
So, yes, I would like to disclose that I did, at the request of Pastor Bradley, I did meet with he and the developer planning team last night for them to go over their presentation. Thank you.
Just to be clear and to provide transparency, does any other board member need to disclose for this application?
Yes.
Member Stewart.
I also met with Pastor Bradley and their development team last night, as well as several.
Can't hear you. Oh, different times.
Yeah, at different times, completely different times. As well as, sorry guys, I think my mic is not working properly, so I'll try to be loud. As well as commissioners and residents at both community meetings.
Thank you, Member Stewart. So we'll start with questions from the board. Member Gonzalez, do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
Not at the moment, no, thank you.
Alternate O'Brien.
None at this time.
Member Stewart.
No questions.
Vice Chair Dierko.
No, thank you.
Member French.
I have no questions, but I have several things to say.
We're going to get through questions first, and then I'll open it up for comment. Alternate Warnicki.
I have no questions at this time, thank you.
You're welcome. I do have some questions for the applicant. So if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, Mr. Watson.
Yes, ma'am.
So just doing a quick overlay of the FEMA flood map versus the concept plan. It appears there is a portion of the southwest quadrant of the southernmost lot that is in a substantial wetland area. And while you are buffering from that wetland with a 25-foot minimum setback, I'm wondering if you have had a wetlands line determination done by FDEP.
We have had preliminary information put together with regard to the wetland locations. We've done the required environmental analysis and everything at this point. We will be required to do additional analysis with regard to that and with regard to the floodplain location as you get into the site plan review process. So that may result in changes, and I think this is included in both in our staff report and in the development agreement. It may result in change. I think it was in my presentation as well. That may result in changes to what you see here. For example, if that area, and it was interesting, after Irma, we actually went out there and flew a drone over the property to see kind of where the water was and you know, kind of where the water came in with when some of the flooding was going on. And you can see that it came in that bottom corner pocket that you're referring to. So when we get the updated floodplain data, and I think it's going to be important for us to have the Teresa Basin information as well, when we get that, it will likely cause some changes to what you see in the bottom part of that current layout that will be addressed during the engineering detail when civil engineering is done for the site.
Have you done a pre-application meeting with the Water Management District for this project?
I don't believe we've done one at this point in time, no. But again, we're at the zoning stage. That would typically come as we're getting into the technical design stage.
Are you planning on doing a pre-application meeting with the Water Management District?
We will be required to by both your code and by the Water Management District's rules.
Okay. With regards to the traffic situation, you mentioned that the road has 2 failing segments. And I'm wondering if you can provide more detail on where those failing segments are and what potential mitigation actions you'll need to do to mitigate for those failing segments. And when you say failing segments, I'm assuming you mean the level of service is
Exceeding their
E or
current-
below?
That's correct. So it's getting to a level of service E. If you look at the current counts out there, everything is better than an E. And that's what the existing, I think that was the 2022 or 2023 counts that are on the county's website and available through their traffic engineering division. So if you'll give me just a second to get to the conclusion part of the traffic analysis.
Sure, absolutely. Take your time.
Oh, I'm in the wrong section. Okay. I had a pen here a minute ago and holding this section, and of course I moved it.
That's okay. This is an important component of the project, so.
So what I'm going to be referencing is page 31 on Exhibit E in your materials. It's the conclusion of the traffic impact analysis dated March 2024. Now this looks at both the traffic that would be generated by the project, but it also looks at the continuing increase in traffic that may or may not occur based on existing approved projects in the area or population growth and things of that nature. So it looks at a build-out year of 2029. It projects what that background traffic growth would be through 2029 and then puts the traffic from this project into that model over an average daily number of trips and then also at the AM and the PM peak hours. So it looked at all of those. So the specific conclusions, the segments that I referenced, based on future build-out conditions analysis consistent with future background analysis, all study roadway segments are projected to operate acceptably with the exception of Lake Helen Osteen Road from Hollover to Catalina and Providence Boulevard from Fort Smith Boulevard to Elkham Boulevard. Both of these roadway segments would need to be widened to 4 lanes to accommodate future background traffic. These improvements identified are the same improvements needed to address the background deficiencies. Under the statute, then, therefore, they're typically not used in a prop share mitigation agreement, but Volusia County tends to be a little bit different in that regard. So Volusia County would still look at that as requiring a prop share contribution to go towards that improvement that's required for that section, or for those sections. The next bullet point in the conclusions talks about the one location where there's a intersection where there's a failure triggered, and that is the southbound right turn movement at Howland and Catalina, which would be addressed by changing the signal timing and optimization. So that's one where there's not actually a physical improvement that's necessary. Sometimes you have to go in and extend the turn lane, add an additional turn lane, things of that nature. Here, the conclusion was there's enough flexibility in how that intersection is currently functioning to address that deficiency and change it by adjusting the signal timing. That would be something that would be included in a mitigation agreement between the applicant and the county and city.
So this extensive traffic study that you did, have you shared these results with Volusia County Traffic Engineering?
These are reviewed and approved by Volusia County, but so when we're coming up with a study, we can't just generate a study and then, say, here's our study. We have to actually go in and meet with the county to say, how is the study going to be conducted? What is the methodology that's going to be followed for the study? So our traffic engineer is required to meet with the county staff, coordinate with the city staff as well. I think the city has an outside reviewer that goes through and reviews the traffic studies as well. But we have to first negotiate and kind of agree on what the methodology will be for that traffic analysis, and then the traffic analysis is conducted, submitted to the county, submitted to the city. We receive comments back, or our engineer receives comments back, and they go back and forth until they agree on what the final study is, and then it's completed and deemed accepted.
So you haven't made a submittal to Volusia County yet?
We have.
Oh, you
so
have
this
made
this has all been coordinated with the county. It will also have to be again coordinated with the county as you get into the site development.
So you have made a submittal to Volusia County Traffic Engineering?
Our traffic engineer would have coordinated that through the traffic engineering department, yes.
Okay, and so is this the traffic study that is a result of the methodology agreement between your engineer and the county's engineer, or have you even gotten to that part yet?
Not for the site development, but this is for the zoning analysis, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Volusia County is in the process of reviewing your
Correct.
submittal.
As we get into, again, we'll have to get into a little bit more detailed analysis as we get into what the prop share is going to be, that type of thing.
So you're going to do a prop share agreement to widen the road?
To make the contribution for the proportionate share that this project represents to that road widening cost, correct. And that's consistent with the state statute with regard to how we have to offset that impact.
Okay. Have you gotten to the part where you talk about dollars?
Not yet. We don't have an estimate of what it is because we have to look at that at the time that the project's looking to move forward, and you have to base it on current costs.
Can you give us an approximate timeline of what you're thinking about as far as the build-out of this project? You're talking about roadway conditions in 2029.
Correct.
So what are we looking at as far as if you were to move forward with construction? Where are we looking at as far as maybe all site permits are approved, you're ready to break ground, and then what your construction schedule looks like, and then CO for occupancy?
Sure. So I'll give you some estimates, and I'll look over my shoulder to see if I'm roughly accurate with regard to those estimates. But typically, site plan review for a project of this nature would take anywhere from 6 months to a year as you're going back and forth with various agencies on their comments with regard to engineering, stormwater design, roadway improvements, things of that nature. From that point, you're looking at likely, again, 12 to 18 months for construction. I'm getting head nods. Roughly 12 to 18 months for construction. So you're conceivably within about a 2.5-year window. That's if we started working on that as soon as we get an approval. Typically, I would estimate you probably get a little bit of additional time built into that. So we're right around that 2029 build-out period. One of the things that we'll have to look at, and I've got an example of this that actually just happened last week, where the build-out and the actual construction of the development or the subdivision took longer than expected. And so by the time we came to finalizing the prop share and moving that forward, we had numbers that were based on 3-year-old data from DOT. And that's why I say you have to really look at those numbers at the time you're getting ready to move forward. So the county required us in that instance to go back and recalculate the background trip going through the segment that was failing. It was an intersection failure in this instance. The intersection that was failing, determine whether or not additional improvements were needed, whether the turn lane needed to be extended further, and to update the cost analysis on that. And frankly, it resulted in about a $120,000 increase in the prop share from that project just because of that delay, because those numbers can change. So again, we will still have to go through that process and finalize it before there would be a development order issued.
Is there a possibility that you're going to have to put a signal at that intersection?
It would be possible. I mean, signals are all based on warrant analysis. So the county will look at basically what the traffic is both on the through road and on the approaches from the local roads. They're looking at one of the things that the county has shifted and started doing more over the past 2 to 3 years. They're asking for crash analysis in addition to the capacity analysis. So for example, if you have an intersection or a segment that may function just fine based on the capacity analysis. The county is also requiring the analysis in the TIA to include crash data as well. And so that can be another factor when you're looking at, if you've got an intersection that is generating higher crash volumes, you may need to look at, because that'll be one of the warrants that would look at, that would potentially trigger a signal improvement. So that will all have to be analyzed as we move forward.
Okay. I was looking at the contours map that you have in the packet of information.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got 5-foot separation on your contours lines, but no elevations. So can you tell me, are we going uphill from the lake, or are we going downhill from the lake?
You're going uphill from the lake, yeah.
Okay.
I think most of what you see here, and again, you're at the conceptual stage, so most of this is typically based on LiDAR data. So we'll have to provide the actual topo, and geotechnical information as we get into site design.
Okay. I think that takes care of all of my questions for the applicant. Thank you, Mr. Watson, for your time.
Thank you.
And I do have one question for staff. So, Mr. Smith, maybe if you can help us, what is the approval process from today moving forward for this project?
If the P&Z recommends approval, it will go to the City Commission for first reading consideration, which will be on February 2nd. And then second reading is scheduled for March, the first meeting in March. And then if it gets approved, then they'll be able to sit for a site plan.
Okay, very good. And this will be from that moment forward, everything will be staff level approved.
That is correct.
None of the applications or subsequent submittals will come back to either board for review or approval.
No,
Is that
ma'am.
true?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, staff. I'm going to open it up to the board members one more time to make sure that they don't have any subsequent questions they'd like to ask, starting with alternate Warnicki. Member French?
What I wanted to know is if this project is going to come under the auspices or the studies of the TPO, since it looks like it's going to impact a lot of traffic and possible pedestrian usage as well with this type of development.
I forgot, I think you mentioned that you had some comments to make. Were they more comment related or questions for?
No, this is just a question I have.
Oh, you have comments too. Okay, so this is a question that you would like for the applicant or staff to address?
Staff, both actually.
Very good. The applicant's at the podium, so we'll start with Mr. Watson.
Mr. French, the answer is yes.
My apologies.
It's okay.
Mr.
It's like
Watts.
light bulbs.
Thank you for correcting me.
So, Mr. French, it's yes. This does exceed the TPO guidelines. The TPO guideline generally states that any proposed development that at its maximum could generate more than 1,000 trips a day, and I think it's 100 PM peak hour trips, if I remember correctly, can be required or is required to provide that full analysis. The city also has the discretion to require an analysis even if you're below that threshold. So this is in excess of that. We've done the analysis consistent with the TPO standards. One of the things in pedestrian improvements is an important aspect, and I appreciate you bringing that up as well. One of the things that the county specifically required, because this is envisioned as a mixed-use community with the church and the residential components being integrated, on the plan that you see in front of you, there's specific pedestrian features that were included at the request of the county specifically to Lake Helen Osteen Road to both slow traffic down as you're coming into this area, to include pedestrian signage, and the crosswalk facility that you see in between the two on the roadway there. So that, again, I expect will be finalized more as we get into the final design. But the county has been very clear that on their facility, Lake Helen Osteen Road, they want to have the pedestrian improvements included as well.
Vice Chair D'Arco, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Member Stewart?
No questions, thank you.
Alternate O'Brien?
No questions, thank you.
And Member Gonzalez?
Everything I had was covered, thank you.
Very good. So I think we'll go ahead and allow Mr. French to make his comments.
Okay. I want to first of all thank staff for the availability of this study. I spent the weekend going through all this, and also the applicant for the exhaustive information that they provided, especially on the traffic study. My comments involve a lot that has to do with us trying to stick to the consistency of our comp plan, and my comments are directed to everyone concerned with this, is that we have to try and see that our growth is managed in a way that it meets these criteria. I noted as I went through the study that staff has concerns on the consistency with all of the elements of the comprehensive plan that are related to the proposal. They're cited on pages 2 through 6 of the staff analysis. Items such as impact on existing surrounding residential development, roadway use, expansion, traffic studies. I know they take into consideration the increasing, my concern is the increasing use that Howland is getting now, especially with the development of the crossings area and all of its development. I'm already experiencing the backlog that's being created on Howland, and know that Helen Osteen is becoming a avenue to get around that congestion, which is probably going to be an increasing amount of volume, which I'm not so sure that the study is taking into consideration here. On page 3 of the staff report, they regard the impact upon the environment or natural resources, the impact on the economy of the affected area. Page 4 remains inconsistent with the roadway function. Page 5, number 8, the inadequate buffering that's with this plan. Page 6, section 110 to 1101 of the Code of Ordinances, the proposed zoning isn't acceptable on 4 prescribed points. This is all things that the staff presented in the report here. The proposed building units are not consistent with current evolving structure design, I think preferences that are now being developed, I think, by our own visioning workshops. I think that the community or the residents are going towards different heights preferences on a lot of development. So that's going to be counter to what we're trying to head towards. The compatibility of the land, the vegetation and soils tells us in Appendix 1, the FEMA flood hazard map. I was especially interested in that. I wanted to walk the property, but I was not able to contact the owners or anyone to see about doing that. I really like to do that, but from the information I'm able to get from the topographic maps and everything else, your elevations here, especially on the west side, are a concern when we're looking at any kind of water problems that we could have. It's almost as if we've forgotten the flooding we just got over in a lot of these areas. So I'm hearing the comments from many of the residents of surrounding areas about flooding. I've personally experienced flooding on my own property. So this, I think, is problematic in their design for these structures. The soils and the habitat, wildlife, tortoises, scrub jays are just to mention a few of the concerns that are going to come up if this is approved and get into it. The maps we're looking at are showing us a green area, a vast green area here. We're losing a lot of that greenway area that provides a corridor for our wildlife. So without the access to that water and this area here, we're going to see a lot of changes with wildlife. I know I have seen deer on Howland. They haven't been alive, but I have seen some on Helen Osteen Road. So I'm concerned about what's going to happen to all of that. That stretch is naturally bordered, and it's paralleling that stretch of Howland, so I think it's integral to us trying to maintain this area to stick with what the comprehensive plan has proposed for these kinds of development. The soil type is very porous on the east side, according to these maps here. So this is prime water filtration area. It's also great for real estate development, especially for septic systems and so forth. But looking at the proposed development layout, there's a tremendous amount of expanse when you look at that map on the board there that is going to be non-permeable surfaces. So there's going to be a lot of runoff. The environmental impact from this defoliation of this vast area is a real concern to me. The absorption problems with, or lack of it, for water runoff and the overall water quality. And I'm afraid that this plan is going to have us running into problems with runoffs of oil, gasoline, and other pollutants that are going to end up in those water bodies, and those are going to be future concerns. And so I have to really think that staff has done a real good job in fleshing this out. I know we need this kind of development, but as many people had mentioned, we have the concentration centers around in the city where perhaps these kinds of things can be better placed, and that's why I believe staff is recommending what they're saying, and I would concur and agree with their recommendations.
Any other board members wish to make any comments before I call for a motion?
No, ma'am. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I am calling for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to recommend the City Commission deny Ordinance 01-2026. While I don't disagree with the need and I am empathetic to the need, this is just not the right location for the following reasons. This is not consistent with the future land use map or the intent of the low-density residential design. This does not adequately protect the neighborhood character intended by the comprehensive plan. This introduces a mixed-use development and residential density not compatible with the surrounding low-density residential development. The roadway capacity is insufficient to safely handle the projected traffic. And for all of those reasons, I recommend the City Commission deny this ordinance. Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Would staff please call the roll?
Member French. Member French.
I vote to not approve, to deny the ordinance.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I clear? Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, voting yes means you vote to deny. So yes means no tonight.
Thank you.
Member Gonzalez.
Yes.
Member Stewart.
Yes.
Alternate Warnicki.
Yes.
Alternate O'Brien.
Yes.
Vice Chair D'Erico.
Yes.
Chair Cardo.
No.
Motion passes 6-1.
You're welcome, Mr. Watts. Thank you for your time as well. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is staff comments. Does the staff have any comments?
Madam Chair, we do have comments. Can we give a couple minutes for the room to clear out?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
For those of you who have chosen to leave and not stay for the remainder of the meeting, if you could please keep the noise level to a minimum while we continue with the meeting. We're not quite finished yet. We'd appreciate that. Thank you so much. And so now we'll move on to staff comments. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Hope everybody had a good holiday. Welcome back. Happy 2026. Just want to let you know that alternate Karen Niehair has resigned from the Planning and Zoning Board due to personal reasons. The City Commission will be appointing a new alternate member, and that'll be occurring at a future meeting.
Once again, if we could please keep it down at the back of the room. Our meeting has not been concluded yet. We have not called the meeting to adjourn, so if you could please keep it down, we'd appreciate it. Thank you for your consideration.
Just a reminder, the second workshop for the comprehensive plan update will be on Monday, January 26th at 5:30 in the City Commission chambers. It will be the same format as the first workshop. There'll be 8 tables set up and activities. And then the third workshop for the comprehensive plan update will be Monday, March 23rd. And those are all staff comments. Monday, July.
What do you have going on in July, Jordan, that you keep bringing up?
Monday, January 26th. Yes.
I don't know if staff has considered maybe sending a friendly reminder email? That might be helpful.
We will send a reminder email to the P&Z, to the City Commission, and we will also be posting it on social media as well. So yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any other comments from staff?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the next item, board committee member comments. So opening it up to the board, if you have any comments. Member Gonzalez?
I have.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You looked at me. my bad.
You weren't quick enough.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Gonzalez. Can we just start with alternate?
I just have a quick comment. I am interested, how do I find out, because you had gone to one of the community meetings, how do I find out when the community meetings are? Is there like somewhere I can look? Because I would be
For
interested.
the comprehensive plan?
No, for the community, like when anybody wants to develop something and they have to have a community
So
meeting.
Madam Chair, what she's referring to is we have
The
a new
neighborhood meetings.
We have a new section in our code that requires projects to have a community participation plan meeting before any public hearing is scheduled. When the applicant does send us the information, we can definitely get that out to the members.
Okay, so.
Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic.
So I personally, I'm in District 1, and I'm about 2 minutes away from this specifically. So I didn't receive the communication directly from the applicant. I just saw that they were holding a public meeting from signage that was posted.
Okay, because I'd be interested in going to a meeting in other districts just to keep up with stuff.
And I could say as well, they do normally announce them at the commission meetings as well, if there's an upcoming meeting. I mean, these happened quite a while ago.
Well, aren't the meetings to the public are before they even come to commission, correct? Yes.
Yeah, and I do just want to provide a small word of caution about attendance at these meetings for members of this board. You want to be mindful of sunshine law requirements. So if there are multiple members present at at any meeting, you may listen, but you may not participate. You know, for fear of creating that exchange, which creates a sunshine violation for any item that may come before you. So just wanted to put that out there as a small word of caution.
Would those meetings on the city website, would they be listed under, where exactly would you look for them if you weren't getting the regular email?
So those meetings are held by the actual applicant, and so the applicant is required to hold a meeting. They're required to send notices out to residents within a 500-foot buffer, and then they're required to, after they hold the meeting, create a report on what happened during the meeting, how they're going to address the comments, the concerns, and then once that's done, they can apply for a public hearing, but we do not post that meeting on the city website.
As much as I'm not a social media person, usually I find out about them too on social media, if that helps. Because to Dave's point, one member will get a notification and then puts it out to everybody else.
Thank you, Alternate Warnke. Anyone else on the board have any comments?
I just wanted, again, thank staff. I mean, for a long time, I know from sitting on the other side out there in the audience, I would see deliberations where staff does their homework and presents lots of detailed information that's consistent with what the comp plan has been, and sometimes that has not been followed. I'm very glad to have been able to receive this kind of information for this deliberation, and I want to compliment you all and keep up the good work.
Member French, I appreciate that comment. We do have a great staff in the planning department, so kudos to my staff for a job well done.
Any other comments from any of the board members? Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We are hereby adjourned.